Harry, to put it politely. I think she is very manipulative. Meghan Markle is someone who's basically got rid of almost her entire family on her side, apart from her mother, her entire family on the father's side, including her father, which is incredibly sad. And now she's wrestled Harry away from his family.
Here's a question that should immediately make you pause. Meghan Markle has sued newspapers, publishers, photographers, and media organizations on both sides of the Atlantic. She has gone to court over a private letter, over paparazzi photographs, over headlines she claimed crossed an emotional line. Legal action has never been a last resort for her. It has been her preferred response, the first lever she reaches for when she believes control has slipped. And yet, there is one man she has never sued. Not once. Not formally. Not even decisively threatened. That man is investigative journalist Tom Bower. He spent years documenting Meghan Markle's rise, publishing a book, Revenge, that exposed patterns many people had only discussed behind closed doors. The book ignited outrage, debate, and denial. But it did not provoke a lawsuit. And that absence is the real story. Because Meghan Markle does not avoid litigation. She chooses it carefully. And the reason she will never take Tom Bower to court has nothing to do with insults or hurt feelings. It has everything to do with what a courtroom would demand and what discovery would uncover. The uncomfortable truth isn't what Bower published. It's what legal proceedings would force into daylight. Emails, timelines, witness testimony, records that don't bend to PR narratives or emotional framing. This is no longer about defending reputation. It's about preventing exposure. Once you understand why Tom Bower remains untouched, the entire Sussex story snaps into focus. Bower didn't write Revenge like a typical celebrity biography. He didn't chase rumor, anonymous gossip, or fleeting scandal. He constructed the book like a legal brief. Every chapter was built to withstand hostile scrutiny. Every claim supported by overlapping sources, corroborated timelines, and independent accounts that mirrored one another without coordination. What made the book dangerous wasn't cruelty. It was durability. Bower worked with more than 80 sources. Many refused to go on record, not because they disagreed, but because they feared retaliation. And the most unsettling detail is this: the same complaints emerged from people who had no connection to one another. Different industries, different countries, different stages of Meghan's life. And yet, they described the same arc. Initial charm, strategic closeness, utility, then distance. Or hostility, once usefulness ended. Bower didn't need motive. He needed repetition. And repetition is exactly what he documented. That kind of book can't be defeated with outrage or social media posts. It can only be challenged with evidence. And no evidence was ever produced. So the real question isn't why Meghan Markle dislikes Tom Bower. It's why she has never tried to disprove him in the one place where narratives collapse and documents rule, a courtroom. Because the moment she files, she loses control. Discovery doesn't care about trauma narratives or public sympathy. It demands contemporaneous records, emails sent in anger, instructions to PR teams, messages revealing intent instead of polish. It compels sworn testimony. It opens calendars, contracts, texts, and correspondence to examination. If Meghan sued Bower, his exposure would be limited to his research files. Hers would be her entire recent life. That imbalance alone ends the case before it begins. Even a technical win would be catastrophic. Courts don't erase embarrassment. They immortalize it in public record. Testimony would reopen stories more damaging than anything in Revenge. That's why her advisors never say, "Let's sue." They say, "Let's imply." Because implication maintains leverage. Litigation destroys it. Look at who Meghan actually sues: newspapers and outlets with predictable risk tolerance. Cases framed narrowly around privacy or copyright. Disputes about documents, not about character. Suing Tom Bower would be different. It wouldn't be about whether something should have been published. It would be about whether the patterns he documented are true. And truth is decided under oath. Bower writes expecting cross-examination. He has spent decades surviving legal challenges from powerful figures who tried and failed to silence him. His work is built for confrontation. So when Meghan's allies whisper about exploring legal options, it isn't indecision. It's strategy. The threat intimidates smaller critics. It rallies supporters. It reframes scrutiny as persecution. And most importantly, it buys time. But the media eventually noticed something crucial. The biggest threat, the one that should have mattered most, was never acted on. Revenge came out. The lawsuit never did. And once that pattern became clear, fear evaporated. Producers invited Bauer back without hedging. Commentators cited the book openly. Disclaimers vanished. Mainstream outlets stopped dismissing his claims as merely controversial and started summarizing them. The threat flipped into a weakness. If the damage was real, why wasn't it challenged when it mattered? In media logic, timing equals credibility. Delayed threats look performative, not principled. Then the story widened. After the book, Bauer began hinting carefully that he was sitting on material capable of collapsing the Sussex narrative entirely. Not gossip. Not speculation. Something far more serious. Something involving paternity. Documentation gaps. Unexamined travel and connections. Harry's response was not confidence. It was panic. Warnings were whispered. Legal pressure moved through intermediaries. Silence was demanded. Bauer didn't blink. And the internet did what institutions couldn't stop. Flight logs resurfaced. Timelines were reconstructed. Old posts were unearthed. And then, in the quiet hours when rumor spreads fastest, an image appeared, Meghan in a luxury hotel hallway, angled toward a man who was clearly not Harry. Intimate lighting. An unguarded moment. A bracelet users traced to a Colombian businessman seen months earlier. The account vanished almost immediately. Screenshots didn't. Then Bauer issued a statement that froze the conversation. Some stories disappear when the truth is proven. This one hasn't been. And then the implication that shattered defenses. The firstborn child may not belong to the man the public believes. No names. No direct accusations. Just enough precision to detonate everything. Harry's camp responded with noise, denials, outrage, deflection. But noise feeds fire. And the one thing that could have ended it instantly, a DNA test, was never offered. Silence became the story. Then Trevor Engelson, Meghan's first husband, broke his silence. When Bauer put him on record, it wasn't with bitterness. It was exhaustion. Trevor described a marriage that shifted as doors opened, secrecy that grew alongside ambition. Then he described a night. A hallway. A man leaving a room Meghan claimed she was alone in. She didn't deny it, he said. She reframed it. Networking. Opportunity. Strategy. She told me this was the kind of man who changes lives. That sentence ignited forensic timeline analysis across the internet. Travel dates, pregnancy announcements, missing medical specifics, deviations from royal protocol. Each detail alone was explainable. Together, they suggested intent. And one question drowned out all others. If this is false, why not prove it? Innocent people demand verification. They don't avoid it. Behind closed doors, Harry unraveled. Friends noticed his fixation, his temper, his questions. Questions he'd never allowed himself to ask. About dates. Doctors. Control. And Meghan noticed the shift. When Harry finally asked, "Why won't you just do the test?" the room went cold. She didn't cry. She recalibrated. "How dare you," she said, framing it instantly as betrayal. Harry exploded back, not as a prince, but as a man desperate for certainty. "This isn't about them. It's about me not knowing if my son is mine." That was the fracture. Meghan warned him, "Force this, and you destroy us. Not if you're wrong. Not if there's nothing to hide. If you force this." Harry walked away. Outside, the world grew louder. And Bauer repeated the line that cut deepest. Innocent people don't fear verification. Alone, Harry realized something devastating, that he may have sacrificed everything for a story he never confirmed. And once doubt takes hold, it consumes everything. The fairy tale wasn't cracking anymore. It was bleeding. Tom Bower didn't need a courtroom. He only needed to ask the one question Meghan Markle could never afford to answer.